understand, like, don't overthink it.
No, you can't overthink it. If you're thinking, well, this
that.
person wants a phone call, this person's expecting something in the mail, now what do I do?
Step one, they're expecting information. So if you have a lead, what is it they want?
They want information.
Boom. That's it.
Water.
My bad. So before we get too carried away here, let's reel this back in, because we got a lot of listeners and they still have some of these questions, and
some of them already dropped off.
Some of I hope not. But the whole point is to help understand what is the best for them. So let's break down some of these factors that they can think about, and to help them determine what is the proper type of lead, what is the proper amount of lead, the area of lead. So when we look at the factors, Chris, what's the first factor we're really looking at?
What market are you in? Like, what are you selling? What are you an MP person, which is mortgage protection? Are you FE, which is final expense? Are you slinging some Medicare out there? That makes a big difference on the number of leads you're going to have.
So why does that make a difference? Why does the market change the number of leads?
Well, it's going to be first, one of the key issues is lead cost.
Yeah,
that's going to make a big difference. And the how long a sit takes, the amount of time you're going to spend in your sales process, that's going to make a difference as well.
Absolutely. So we're really looking at the market we're in, or we're in MP, are we in final expense, are we in Medicare Advantage? That's going to help us determine.
Health markets, Medicare supplements, like it's all different, and they all have different lead costs. So, what is the return on investment for a mortgage lead? A mortgage lead's a little more difficult to generate, a little more costly to generate. Although the mortgage market's hot right now because of interest rates.
Absolutely.
So, like, you rewind back to 2009, like, there wouldn't be near the volume going on because of the mortgage market crash. So this thing fluctuates up and down. Final expense, pretty steady Eddie, right? There's a number of people that are moving into that age demographic. They stay in there for 8, 10, 12, 15, 20, 25 years. So it's more of a static group, The MP market is more of a variable group.
Right.
MA, people are coming in and out every year based on plans, their eligibility, their health, prescriptions that they need. What's going on with the ACA programs. Like, there's all kinds of variables there. Are you an LOA agent working with an agency in an office?
Now, Roger, we also talk
all kinds
about,
of things.
With a lot of these groups out there, some people are in this industry right now, and they're in part-time, and some of them are in this full-time. Mm-hmm. And one of the common funny things I would say is when you see some of the full-time agents out there, realistically, their number of leads that they're ordering screams to me they're part-time.
Part-time, yeah.
They just don't have the other part-time job, right? They just have one part-time job. And some of them have a complete full-time job. And obviously, if you're doing this full-time, you need to be putting in the hours and seeing the number of people for that. So full-time versus part-time is a huge factor involved in that. Another one might be if you're selling completely over the phone, and maybe you started that brand new through the pandemic. Hopefully our podcast helped. We have full telesales podcasts on those. And maybe you stay and you continue to do that, or maybe you've always been on the phone. Why would that determine the number of leads?
Well, as far as telesales, I guess, and it depends. Again, this depends on the market you're in as well. If you're in final expense, you're probably going to need, and the type of lead, we're not there yet. But if you're in final expense, you're probably going to have a lower conversion on your telesale because you don't have as much perceived control in those environments and trying to catch people answering the phone and things like that. You have to be very diligent in your work effort, and that's a different, like you said, referred to that podcast.
There's a higher suspicion rate too with the senior population, with the elderly population, right? So elderly people are getting spammed all the time. They don't know if they're getting taken advantage of. So when they see these unknown numbers showing up on their phones, they don't answer oftentimes, right? There's all these robo dials. And so, you're going to need some more leads if you're doing telesales. And, if you're working diligently, you probably got local numbers that you can access. A lot of companies will use, certain prefixes in certain market areas. They'll use dialers that allows you to be able to access that. So that's going to be a variable that is what I will say is a barrier, a small barrier different than if you show up and knock on the door. Of course,
Yeah.
during the pandemic, nobody wanted to open their
Right.
door.
So there's a barrier.
So like there's it keeps moving.
I tell you, we had an amazing interview with the top producer in the industry, Jimmy Frazier, and the cool thing he talked about was because he came from a career that was fully phone sales. Now, he did phone sales for a radio advertising company, and then moving into this, and he now does face-to-face door knocking. And he said, well, I've done both. I was successful in both, but it's so much easier for him to show up with that face he's working with, as you say, Chris, to be able to get in and move into those homes. So we know the market plays a big factor. If you're part-time, the type of leads you're working, if you're doing it all over the phone or you're doing it face-to-face, those are major factors.
Well, I know also on the telesale side, mortgage protection works differently. Like we see higher conversion rates from mortgage protection on telesales. And we just recently had Jason Richter on, and he blew it up. Just blew it up.
Yeah,
doing telesales. So I think your market, the type of lead you're working, if you're working full time, part time, these are all little dials that you want to.
Well,
Are you doing Zoom calls or are you doing phone calls, telesales? Right.
Yeah.
There's so many variables of how.
So
you're
let's dive
approaching
into
the
those
market.
type of leads, because that does play a factor. Because I know one thing when you talk about conversions, you may not want to do telesales on a direct mail lead.
You can.
You can, but would you choose to do that?
It depends on the market.
And depends on your skill set.
Market skill set.
Yeah.
So MP, yes. Final expense, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I've worked them both.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, I worked some of our direct mail leads for telesales, and it worked fine. You can generally get a slightly lower cost on a digital lead, a Facebook lead, than you can on a direct
Well, that's
mail
what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
For
So
bang for the buck,
Mhm.
it's not too shabby.
Yeah.
Getting the digital leads for telesales.
Digital leads, however, are becoming a little bit more challenging to get now. The quality of the lead is, through Facebook and everything that they got going on, and even the way that Apple's now coming out with some of their iOS, coming out with some of their software, and the battle that they're going to have with Facebook now about
Right.
protection, privacy, and what they're able to do. Like, so there's all these variables that determine lead pricing. You have to be flexible. You have to lean in. But our good friend Jason Richter, he does direct mail, MP, and he writes a ton of business.
That dude's a machine for sure.
Telesales over the phone.
For sure.
So yeah.
So, and I think a lot of it has to do with the expectations of the client. When a client receives something in the mail and they fill it out, they're probably expecting something in the mail, or something to come to their house. Now, when you look at somebody filling something out digital through a platform, they're probably expecting something to come back, I'd say, not in their mailbox, right? They're thinking it's going to be maybe an email or some type of phone call, something in that nature, as far as the expectations go. So now, Roger, tell me about this thing that these callback leads, because those seem to be pretty exciting for some.
Well, callback leads are an opportunity to tap into a call center, essentially, that will take general database of seniors that fit a demographic, and they'll call and ask if they have an interest to have someone talk to them about life insurance sales. So literally, they're on an auto dialer that is like a predictive dialer that will keep dialing until someone comes on the line. They'll talk to them about, there's new state regulated benefits available in their area to take care of final expenses, to cover burial costs for life insurance benefits, and would you be interested in having someone call in, to give you some information on that? And they go down through a list, they check them off, and if the person verifies that all the way through, they say, great, we're going to have someone follow up with you in the next 24 to 48 hours and get that back to you. And so then those leads are available to be distributed out to an agent to call on. You can do a direct transfer sometimes. So like if you're working in an office, some of those can direct transfer in, or you can have those drop into a lead portal, and then you can dial them back out from there. So there's another way to do that.
I think the exciting thing about those is they seem hot. You talk about the qualification you're receiving, an actual recording of the person, you're hearing their voice, you're hearing the conversation, you're seeing how much coverage they want. That can be very exciting. and the price is very attractive for a lot of agents. And a lot of that is because generally those campaigns, which leads us into our next factor, is all about proximity, right?
Yes.
Usually those are statewide. Those are multiple states.
Before we jump into that, I want to address something that I want to make sure we hit on. And you mentioned this, Zach. You are such a empathetic processor that you said you're thinking of how a client will receive that information, right?
Yeah, their expectations.
Their expectation, right? That's a tricky point because you are an advanced seller. Like, man, you are high level sales. New agents, just so you guys know, like, you have no concern. Like, do not be concerned about how they're anticipating receiving that, other than the fact that you're just getting them information. Does that make sense? Like, I want to make sure that they understand. Like, don't overthink it.
No, you can't overthink it. If you're thinking, well, this
that.
person wants a phone call, this person's expecting something in the mail. Now what do I do?
Step one, they're expecting information. So if you have a lead, what is it they want?
They want information.
Boom. That's it. That's it. Now, how you approach, like, should you be friendly because they expect? They might have been expecting. You probably had that with, like, if somebody says, I thought this was coming in the mail.
I say last time I checked, I was mail.
That doesn't work for the female agents.
Well, I don't have any tricks for that.
But you keep it light.
Yeah,
that's the important thing.
And I teach this a lot because when you talk about how to run the leads, you have to understand your market. You really have to dial that in. I mean, that's so important. The psychology behind that, and then you have to understand how you address that market, which is marketing to them, the types of leads, how you're going to get in front of them, and then when you actually do get in front of them, I teach the mindset of an Amazon delivery driver. Everybody orders an Amazon. Everybody listen to this call. You probably have an email that your package is going to be delivered today or tomorrow. I mean, it just happens, right? Mm-hmm. And think about, Chris, like, whenever you're sitting at home and all of a sudden the Amazon truck pulls up in front of your house, what are they doing? They're grabbing your package. They're walking right up to the door, knocking or scanning or whatever. They're doing their job.
Sometimes they throw it.
Yeah, so they do. And not saying throw it.
I know he had a...
But I want you to pay attention to, if you agents are out there, like, pay attention to the way they're walking. Pay attention to their demeanor. Pay attention to their mindset. Are they worried if the client's going to be home or not? No. What if they had to get a signature on this product, right? They're knocking on the door. Hey, I just need to get you, this is your information. This is your product. I just need a quick signature. Yeah. They're doing their job. Mm-hmm. And that's the mindset we want to teach. You're walking with purpose. You're going up there. Nothing's a big deal. You're doing your job. Your job is to deliver this information to them. And that's step one.
Yeah.
And so that's the mindset of habit. So you don't carry that much weight. So you're not prejudging on the way the house looks, the age of the lead card. Are they older? Are they younger? Are they a couple? Are they 50? Will they be home? Won't they be home?
Right. Their favorite color.
Right. Exactly. If their dog likes to, lick or not, it doesn't matter.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. For the full episode, click the link in the description, or you can search Life Insurance Academy wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can subscribe now. And for the next video, click one of these. It's your choice. You get to choose. It's a choice. We'll see you in the next video.